Today I'm using magic resin, and this is a 32-ounce kit, and I'm going to give it a try. I've not tried it before. I'm doing 18 ounces, so I'm doing 9 of the B first, 9 of the A into the B. Okay, so we've mixed. I'm going to put this aside and I'm going to show you the mold I'm using today. I'm using this large floral silicone mold that I will either make a bowl or a tray from. I'm thinking a tray today. And I'm going to do 1 coaster because I only have 1 of these and it holds 2 ounces. But I'm not going to fill it all the way to the top, and the flower mold I'm only going to fill about halfway, if that. I mixed up a total of 18 ounces, 9 of B and 9 of A. And I've got the mixing video that I've got in my playlist on the videos, if you want to find how just to mix regular resin, not fast cure but regular. So if you ever want to watch how to mix any kind of resin, that's a good video to refer to. I'm going to show you while we're waiting on the time, because right now I checked it with my infrared tool. It's only 75 degrees. I don't want to do anything with it until it's at least 90 degrees. And we'll refer to the clock. And I've never used magic resin before. This is the Art and Craft epoxy resin, which is made for molds and nothing more than 1/2 inch thick. It's supposed to be super clear, non-yellowing, odor-free. Not a lot of bubbles, I have to say that. It's not quite as thick as some other medium viscosity resins I've used, but we'll just see how it goes. In the kit, they give you 2 8-ounce silicone cups, but I mixed 18 ounces, so I had to go with the bigger mixing cup. They don't really give you directions. I kind of had to look it up on the internet, but you mix it for 5 minutes, and it's probably got about a 30 to 40 minute working time, as typical for medium viscosity. They give you some micas, which I'm not using those today. I've got plans for white and gold. They give you several little packs of gloves, some mixing sticks. I'm going to be using Cast and Craft white pigment paste. These are Meyer Imports Gold Glitter Super Shards. So they kind of look like gold leaf, but they've got some weight to them, and I want to use some of these, and hopefully they won't float around because they have a little weight. And I'm using Just Resin pigment paste in the bright gold. And if for some reason you ever are using pigment paste and you open it up and it's not liquidy, like movable, like it's hard, all you have to do is heat it, maybe with your low temp heat tool. Just, you know, go over it for a little bit with your heat tool and it'll soften it up, and then you can stir it up and everything. So it's never too far gone. You can heat it and get it into a more liquidy kind of texture. So I'm going to use white and gold, and like I said, I've got 18 ounces. I'm going to do about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces of the white at the most. I probably don't even need that much. 1.5 ounces at least, and then probably 1 ounce or so of the gold. This is just to get the little shards out of the thing. I love this little spoon. It came from Counterculture, but it's the size of my pointer finger. Always for cleanup, alcohol, 91 or 99% alcohol, and baby wipes are great for surfaces, gloves, molds, everything. It's easier and it works better than paper towels and alcohol. I do have a low temp heat gun that's 300 watts, but it does blow air, so you have to be really careful. But you know, you want to be checking everything and make sure it's dust and particle free, hair free. Also, I'm on a round leveling table. This one is 20 inches, I believe. It's not available anymore on Amazon, but I found one that's maybe 16 ounces. But of course, like always, make sure your table is level. And I'm also doing the one coaster mold, which holds 2 ounces or so, and I'm just going to put an ounce or so in here in case I decide to do a background layer on either piece. After I keep checking the temperature of the resin, I'll be coming back when it's about that time to get busy. And right now I'm just going to keep it in the deeper container because it warms a little quicker that way than having a shallow container. Or if I go ahead and pour it into the mold now and everything, it'll just take longer. It warms up in a taller piece quicker. That also can be a flash cure if you let it sit for too long. So you really have to keep an eye on it and keep an eye on the temperature. So right now it's 82 degrees. It was 75, so it's slowly warming. I'll be back. Okay, it's been 41 minutes. I don't know if you saw the temperature before I poured it in, it was around 100 degrees, so it kind of accelerated pretty quickly there in those last few minutes. If you wait too long on resin and it's like hot to the touch, the cup is hot, then you know you've probably gone too far, and it will really kind of turn to plastic once you put it into your clear resin. With this, I could feel the cup and I could feel it was warm, but it wasn't hot, so I knew that I had some working time. These I were kind of putting in like little stamens here, so I wanted a kind of a blobby look at the end. Hopefully it'll not sink all the way to the bottom. But, and it's a very delicate look, so I will wait till it's cured enough to touch, and I'll decide if I want to, demold it and make it into a bowl, or if I'm going to keep it in the tray and do a back layer and make a tray out of it instead of a bowl. And then if I did that, I would put a back layer on this as well. I haven't made a tray in a while, so I'm thinking I'll go that route. My problem too is I've moved to a new house. We've been here almost a year, and we're going to build out a studio, which we're supposed to start at the end of this month. And so a lot of my supplies are still packed up. I have used a heat torch on low, just a little bit. Again, you can use alcohol, 91 or 99% alcohol, anytime on any of your resin projects. You can spray it for bubbles on the surface. It'll make your thing look weird for a few minutes, like it'll look like it has little holes, but it'll kind of redo itself. But you can do it on empty molds. You can do it to clean your molds. You can also do it on top for bubbles. The alcohol will not hurt your piece. So I'm going to stop the timer. I will come back and check on it periodically, and then I will let you know when it's ready to either mold or put a second layer on. I'll come back for that and tell you exactly what I'm doing, so that we can move on to the next step of either shaping it or putting a back layer on. So I'll be back. I like to put food nets over my resin while it's curing, and you get a set of these from Amazon, and if you ruin them, you can throw them away because there's a set, and they're just super easy. You can pull them up and close them. I just keep it extended all the time, but it's just made out of a netting, and it keeps things from falling into your pieces as far as dust and fur. So just that extra little tip. Okay, so it has been about 4.5 hours, and it was still very soft and pliable, but not sticky to the touch. And I looked on the other side through the mold and didn't really want to do a bowl with the clear because the pattern to me just wasn't significant enough. So I think it needed a deeper background. So I decided to do 20 ounces of fast set, and I chose the counterculture on the fast set because I don't have any fast curing magic resin, and working time is 10 to 15 minutes, and then it turns to what you see right here. This has happened in 10 to 15 minutes, so it becomes like honey or syrup, and it's just, you can't work with it anymore. I added the same gold, just resin, bright gold, and then I put pretty much a full spoonful of Sparkle Bronze by Etsy Funshine Color Shop, and I put 15 drops of Rich Gold Jacquard Pinata Alcohol ink. The Fast Cure was older bottles that I had, and they had ambered, and so I put a drop of purple alcohol ink in. That's supposed to kind of take the yellowness out, but it really just made it kind of like a really pale purple. But it does kind of cancel out that amber look. But I had, if you saw the resin sitting in the bowl, the mixing container, and you said, oh, that looks kind of purple, it was because I put a drop of purple alcohol ink in it. But anyway, this takes an hour or two to cure. It's really fast. It's Lett's resin has a fast cure that takes 4 to 6 hours or so. This is hard within 2 hours at tops. And like I said, the working time is only 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to definitely make a tray from this. I'll demold it tomorrow. Coaster. These will just be bases for maybe some artwork, and then I'll top coat it and just do a set of 2 coasters that have a gold background with something pretty on it. So they aren't part of this. And then occasionally I've sprayed alcohol to get rid of the surface bubbles that were basically, they'll accumulate around the edge with Fast Set from Counterculture. But it really, really doesn't matter, and you don't want to torch it like right when you do it. You need to wait a bit. But keep your flame away. Don't get close to your surface with any alcohol ink or alcohol on the surface. But it doesn't really matter what this looks like on the bottom, because it's going to be the bottom. And then when I unmold it, I'll put a top coat with Fast Cure. So we'll try to see what it looks like tomorrow. We're going to let it sit overnight. So it's been a full day since I did the back layer, which I could have unmolded in a couple of hours, but I had too much going on for the day. So it's nice and rock hard. And the mixture I made was Fast Set by Counterculture. I have the older bottle. It's a different label now, but it's Fast Set. And I'll decide, see, okay, it's sticking here on the edge. That means I heated it a little too long with my torch. So you want to be really careful prying that, because it'll rip the silicone mold. I do have a little blade here. Luckily, these molds are very inexpensive. I think this mold was maybe $10 to $13. You saw that I had to cut the mold in a couple of places. So what it does is you have this little edge that is now cut into, and so it'll mess up the edge of your mold or the edge of your tray here as well. It split it there. So this mold is trash, but they're on Amazon, and I'll just find another one. Okay, so there's that one. It's pretty. Have a little bit of blobs going on. And here's the tray. So I should have put more white pigment in it, and it's a little bit more transparent. I wanted more definition with the white. I did have the little stamens that I kind of did those dots, and they kind of dropped, and a little bit in the middle where I got heavy. but it's still pretty. So you can totally leave it like this and leave it flat. And that mold had not been used a ton, so it's fairly shiny. I wouldn't have to do a top coat if I don't want to. I usually do because it just gives it more of a glass-like look, and I do fast set because it does set up in an hour or two. And if I want to add knobs, I think I'm just going to leave it flat with no handles. Someone can use it on their vanity. They could use it as a centerpiece in a table, on a a wide shelf, for display on a coffee table. You could set glasses or coffee mugs or whatever, because this counterculture resin is heat resistant to 500 degrees. I used the magic resin for this layer here, and I'm using counterculture fast set. I used it for the back layer, which is gold, and I'm going to use it for the top coat. So anyway, it's 500 degrees, up to 400 to 500 degrees, heat resistant. So you wouldn't need to worry about, hot coffee cups or anything. So what I'm going to do, I also have this little turntable, which I love. I put a piece of frog tape face up, and then I tape it down on the end so it's just sticky in the middle. And that way when you put your coaster down, it'll stick to it and it won't move, and then you can turn it and coat it. And the cool thing about fast set is, that you've got 10 minutes or so working time. It's thick, it won't run over the edges. You can control it pretty well. I like to use silicone brushes just because you can move your resin kind of quick and you have control with it. I have a stainless steel one that's all covered with plastic, and it's got a plastic coating that I taped around. That way you don't get the resin, or if you're doing acrylic pours, you don't get that on your metal. But so I would have it up here, and then I could just kind of turn it while I'm, smoothing out the resin. And then I would move it back down to my level, round level tray here. It's a little leveling table that stands on your work surface. So I'm going to mix my fast set for 4 minutes, and then I'll show you coating it and how I do it. And I only need at the most 3 ounces. It only takes about a ½ ounce to coat any kind of coaster you're going to do, only a ½ ounce or less. The rest would go on the tray. And so I don't need any more than 3 ounces tops. B first, A into B, always. B is thinner, A is thicker. Put the thinner in first, B, and then A into B. And it mixes much better and easier and consistently for you. So I'm going to put my mask on and get mixing and do this part. It has a 10 to 15 minute working time on the fast set. By the time you get to this point, it's really thick, like super thick honey. So, you know, you cannot go past a certain amount of time or it will, you'll pull it up and it'll stay in its shape, you know, once you've lifted your silicone brush, you know, off of it or whatever. So you've really got to work within that time frame. And then with fast set, there's more bubbles because it's so thick, so you have to really keep torching it to get rid of any bubbles. I typically don't spray alcohol on fast set when it's a top coat, just so that it doesn't leave craters of any sort, because on the other side, when you had the gold, when you sprayed with alcohol, that was fast set, it leaves little circles in your gold, which is not any problem for the back side of your tray, but for the top side you don't want any little craters. So I just typically use heat, and you don't have to worry about it being in a mold and, you know, sticking to your mold, so you can use a lot of heat. And you could use your heat gun too, but the torch really does the trick. So covering it to keep things off of it, like dust and fur and hair, everything. And it'll be done in an hour or two. We'll come back and I'll show you outside how beautiful it is, the shimmer and the shine. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope you learned something from this. Please comment below. Just say, hey, or I learned something new this time, or ask for a different technique or a color scheme, or, you know, just make a comment, because YouTube likes to have those comments, those interactions between the creator and the people that are watching, and that really helps me too, to know what you're looking for, what you like, what you don't like, that kind of thing. Thanks so much. Please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, but subscribe if you've not subscribed yet. I would appreciate it. If you think someone you know would appreciate this video, share it with them. I just thank you so much for being here to watch my process, and I will be adding many more videos and everything from resin into painting and alcohol inks. And so I'll see you on the next video. Love you all. Bye bye. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe. Love you all.